world has changed. America has changed. If something were to happen tomorrow, how self-sufficient would you be? Could you grow your own food? Could you sustain your own livestock? Could you survive? This is the We Grow Our Show with Nick and Don. Nick and Don talk about everything from politics to planting. They cover techniques, methods, and tips on how to not only survive, but thrive. Visit the website at WeGrowOurs.com. Lock and load. This is the We Grow Our Show. Get your grow on.
Welcome back to the We Grow Our Show, our weekly podcast that I don't see as very weekly. I'd say it's rather strong. What do you think, Don?
Sure, Nick. If that's what you think, it's strong. No, I love this weekly podcast. So
it's great. It's strong because we got lots of we're loaded full of information. We're going to give you a strong mind.
There you go. And a strong body if you grow your own.
Exactly.
Yeah, That was a good segue, huh?
Oh, look at you.
Yeah.
Oh, clever and stuff.
I know. So we're going to have a great guest on today. One of my wife's mentors, actually, and she has helped us tremendously. Her name is Jill. Mm-hmm. Desert Dream Farms, I believe, is the name of her farm, and she's going to teach us all about goats. So
Desert Dreams.
Yeah, I think that's it. We'll find out. We're going to ask her.
Desert Dreams or Desert Greens?
I don't know. I'll double check.
Well, we'll definitely have it in the show notes after we're done here.
Yeah, well, we'll ask her and we'll get the right one and we'll put it in the show notes at WeGrowOurs.com.
Perfect.
And in fact, I had put a little thing up this week on Facebook about how to milk a goat with pictures. I'll link to that on the blog. It's not going to be on the show notes, or the show notes and blog. Go there at WeGrowOurs.com and you're going to be able to see some pictures on how to milk a goat.
Yay for milking.
Well, there's a lot more than goat milk that you get out of a goat. So we're going to talk.
They also poop.
That's true. And it's speaking of, you love to talk about poop. Nick is always into poop.
I do, because it's nature's way of pelletizing. I'm not, we've talked about gasification in the past, but, towards the end of the show, we'll get into it a little bit more in depth, what we were doing this weekend, but it was awesome.
Yeah.
So there's a little bit of a teaser for the end of the show, but, just know that it's pretty amazing what happens biologically.
Yeah.
The fact that biomass goes in, creates growth, and then the byproduct of the growth is a recycled biomass that goes into growing more biomass. It's just this cycle that's just, I can't help but look at it and think, what a miracle, what an awesome biological system that gives evidence to some sort of intelligent design.
Well, yeah, you put in mostly, straw, hay, and you get out milk, which you can make cheese, you can make all sorts of fun stuff, ice cream, you can make all this great stuff out of soap.
There you go.
You can do soap out of goat's milk?
I've heard that, but then again, I'm kind of a smelly dude. I'd rather go after the cheese and the ice cream and the milk.
Oh, I would too, but I've actually got, in fact, every day I use soap from Jill that she made, and I love it. It's actually the best soap I've ever used, and you don't smell afterward.
Well, there you go. Maybe
so it's good soap.
I'm going to go ahead and put that in my daily routine to use soap.
Trust me, I think you should.
Oh. This is one of those awkward moments. This is like a one-man intervention over here.
So soap, milk,
I let him become the smelly kid?
Nice. Well, you're playing with too much poop.
Exactly. And lighting it on fire, too.
Yeah. Well, again, end the show. We're going to talk about fire. We're going to talk about all sorts of fun stuff that Nick was doing with poop over the weekend. And gas as well. Methane and all sorts of neat stuff. But, let's get back to the milk. The goats. Cause that's what the show today is about, is goats. And I guess before we bring Jill on, I want to say thank you to everybody who supported SB 1151. And it did not get through Arizona. It did not become law. This was a battle that was lost. It is not a war that was lost.
That's right. We're just going to regroup, Join forces, spread the news, take city by city until Arizona will listen to us.
That's right. Galen Luce said we're going to go local, not loco, local. Go local, go after your cities, your towns, and then the state. So this is not over.
No, sir. This is a fight that will continue on. Our freedoms are in jeopardy.
Yeah.
In most cases, we are limited to the point where there is no freedom on the subject.
And I know I'm going to bring something that's a little political up at this point, but
warning, politics on the horizon.
You know, it's amazing that a group of people can make a difference.
Yes.
It's not one, it's a group. And if we go back just a week ago and look at Bundy Ranch, now this is, again, isn't over. But if you go and look at the Las Vegas thing with the Bundy Ranch, it was because of a group of people came together and believed in freedom. And he's on his ranch now, and those cow are grazing. So it is possible to defeat this stuff. You just have to come together to do it.
You know, what really just ruffled my feathers about that is the whole reason that this thing got kicked off was because there may have been a disruption to the habitat of a tortoise.
Well, and that's BS because his family's been grazing that land since the 1860s. I mean,
yeah, the ranch has been around forever. They've been grazing for a long time. They've had control of that area. And I actually went through a semi-documentary explaining what the BLM is and what they've been doing. And honestly, it's an iron fist movement. It's not even a movement. It's just an iron fist of the executive branch.
It's the federal government overstepping its bounds. And again, you want me to get even more political? Bless you.
Thank you.
All right. Even more political. We can get into the whole Agenda 21 thing, but I think that's time for a different conversation.
Oh,
you're going to get me started on that. And I know.
Listen, when you're going to do that, let me just remind me ahead of time. And when we record that episode, I'll bring my tin hat.
Yeah. Well, hey, everything from politics to planting.
Exactly. So, we warned you in the intro, and then we said, lock and load.
That's right. And then we said, warning, politics.
There you go.
All right. So, we're going to avoid the Agenda 21. My point is, thank you to everybody for the support for SB 1151. Please keep it up. Please go to the Facebook page. Please continue to check in. It's tough for Facebook to sometimes go out there and to see everything. So let's make this happen. Let's do it on a local level. If you want to lead the movement in your town, in your city, let us know. We're all going to get behind you.
Exactly.
So, if wherever you live, even if it's a little town in Arizona or not in Arizona, anywhere across this nation, this is a good meeting place and a good place to kick this off. So we want to get out there and support this.
That's right. So my hat's off to Galen Luth. He led a glorious battle. And we're going home wounded from it, but we will regroup and we will get this thing passed.
Absolutely. So let's get Jill on the phone and learn more about goats.
All righty.
Cool. So we've got Jill on the show today talking about goats, and she's going to educate us on all sorts of stuff that I didn't know. And Jill, we met you at one of the prepper events, and my wife has become pretty fond of you, and we now have a whole bunch of goats, and I think most of them came from you. So how you doing today?
I'm doing wonderful. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
So tell me about your farm and your experience with goats. I guess that's a good place to start off.
Okay. A little bit about my background. I grew up in Iowa, and we didn't know it then, but we were extreme preppers. My grandmother canned, and they had several head of sheep, cattle, hogs, hunting dogs, geese, chickens, just kind of a mad variety. And then I've lived kind of a homestead lifestyle for a while in Illinois and Indiana. Grew up mainly in the Midwest, though, and didn't have any goats. Had a vast array of horses there for several years. Always loved goaties, and then decided that I wanted to add a milk goat to our family 3 years ago, and we just started in from there and did a little bit of research on what I wanted and what I thought would produce well and handle our heat here in Arizona. But start off with some Oberhaslis, which are a Swiss breed, Toggenburg, again a Swiss breed, and Alpines, but I do have the mini Alpines. They're, very, very nice, small for a backyard operation for a family of 4. The mini Alpines seem to be a perfect fit for me. So, just kind of, now we have a little mini ranch outside here of Maricopa, and our homestead dairy built from recycled materials. Just live a very close to nature and close to the desert lifestyle. We haul water, but we've got about 16 or 18 goats, bucks included in that, several chickens, and a big mule and a donkey.
So you had talked about Oberhaslis and mini Alpines and some other things. So tell me about the different breeds of goats out there and kind of what their uses are, whether it be milk or meat or anything else that you can, use goats for.
You bet. Yeah, they're a handy little package for the prepper. Goats can be used as a pack animal. They can carry up to a third of their body weight. Not quite sure if I would put all that on them, on these smaller ones, but, a big boar goat can handle quite a bit of weight. It can actually pull quite a bit of weight more easily. So on a bug out situation or a traveling situation, you've got your pack animal, a potential meat animal, and a milk animal all in one. The boar goat is what I would term more of a meat goat. They are probably similar to looking like an Angus cow in my mind, or a Hereford cow. They're just very heavily muscled. Of course, you can drink their milk as well, but the dairy goats are more similar to the Holstein or the Jersey or the Guernsey milk variety. They're a little more lean. Their top line is different. They're more of a triangle shape, and that's kind of what you want to look for in a dairy breed. The breeds that I think are probably would work most for the prepper lifestyle, or just the sustainable lifestyle, would be the Oberhasli, the mini Alpine, the Nigerian dwarfs, an excellent goat. Size-wise, it's considered a full-size dairy goat. It just happens to come in a small package. There's the Toggenburg, which is kind of the definitely milk cow, I think, of the breed. The Saanen is an all-white goat. But in our heat, you do need to be aware, of keeping your goats with some shade and a cool drink of water. They always appreciate it.
Of course, everybody likes to drink water, right?
Yes, definitely. Fresh water. And I just freeze ice water bottles and drop them in their buckets at about 11 or noon, and it just keeps their water a cooler temperature than the outside ambient temperature, and it seems to work out really well. We haven't had anybody suffer a heat stroke or anything like that.
Well, here's a question for you. I am not blessed with acreage. I am actually on a very small lot. I just looked up the county records, and it's 5,700 square feet is my lot size. So I'm really small. But I have always wanted to have livestock in my backyard. As you know, I've got rabbits and a few other livestock, but I think that a goat would be too loud for my little HOA neighborhood. Are there any breeds that are especially more quiet?
Yeah, actually, I think that you can find a noisy doe among every breed. I think Nubians are they're a dairy breed as well. I think they can potentially be louder. A girlfriend of mine has one, and she's quite loud and vocal. But then I have a Alpine that's quite vocal. So it does happen. I find the Oberhasli is very quiet, and they're one of my favorite breeds. I do have mini Alpines that are super quiet. It just kind of depends on the individual doe, and that's definitely a question to ask your goat breeder. Find a reputable one that you can build a relationship with, and not just, a Craigslist or a sale barn or
some unknown source.
Yes, exactly.
Of zero accountability.
Yes. You definitely want to want to find somebody that will be a mentor and not just sell you their goat and you never hear from them again. Then that's always a great question to ask. Do you have more of a quiet one? I've got neighbors that aren't sure, because we do, and a good breeder will know that goat, and we'll want you to come back for either a breeding or come back for a baby next year, or you've decided to become an uber cheese maker because you love goat milk so much, so you want to add a very heavy producing dough to your backyard.
Uber cheesemaker, you just had my heart just thumped a little bit there. Please, let's bring up cheese. You opened the door. I'm going to go ahead and walk through it. Cheese. Right. How do we make cheese out of goat milk?
Well, goat milk in itself is pretty much a perfect food right out of the udder. I filter my milk, but I don't pasteurize it. We do drink it raw. Good. And you can make, yes, definitely, especially with the large dairies now wanting to add aspartame to the milk for children so they drink more milk and make it sweeter. I'm allergic to aspartame, as my husband is.
They changed the name of it, right? Because
really?
they changed the name of aspartame because it was so well known that everybody was trying to avoid it. They changed it to amino sweet. So if you see amino sweet on the label, give them the finger and leave it on the shelf.
I will do that. The scary thing about that is, my husband had an allergic reaction and they thought he had some type of cancer. They weren't sure really what he had. And it was aspartame poisoning. And, so we try to, be very aware of where our food comes from. And, so that, not to mention the hormones, the pesticides, and I grew up next to a dairy in Iowa, and when you're milking 400 or 500 cows, you're washing them off, and you're not actually individually touching every udder. So if there's an udder with seed in it, you're just milking that cow with the mastitis into a vat with everybody else, but it's okay because you're going to pasteurize it. But with your own dairy herd, your backyard dairy herd, my hands are on the girls' udders every morning and every night. I know if somebody's not eating or drinking, and I'm right on top of it. And I do give antibiotics, of course, if it's, necessary to save their life or I'm very responsible about that.
They have their place,
Absolutely.
I'm not one that is completely against vaccinations and completely against antibiotics. Just not abusive, overladen, let's go ahead and throw it in the food just in case antibiotics. That's the kind of crap we need to avoid. But a sensible person that has a relationship with their animals, like you do, you're actually, your animals, what they're supposed to be like, how they are. And when that changes, you can assess it properly. I agree with that. I think you're a responsible person and can handle giving them a little bit of antibiotics when they come down with something. But you're not going to just put it in their water because you're afraid something might happen.
Well, and with poor herd management, that's kind of where the antibiotics and the overuse of antibiotics come. I mean, as long as you're maintaining a clean environment, clean bedding area, they have proper nutrition, just as with humans. I mean, if we have improper nutrition, we get sick. A goat is the same way. But definitely, when you're drinking your milk, you notice a difference in your health. You notice a beautiful complexion. You can almost pick out a raw milk drinking family, their rosy cheeks, and it's amazing, just the health benefits of it. But as far as a super sweet and easy cheese recipe I make raw artisan cheese. It's a spreadable mozzarella, and it's so easy to do. You could actually grab a gallon of organic cow milk if you'd like to try it, if you don't know anybody that has goat milk. Just 1 gallon with a half a rennet tablet and in 1 cup of water. Bring that cheese to that milk to 94 degrees. Sprinkle 2 teaspoons of citric acid in there, the half a rennet in 1 cup of cold water. Pour that in there, and then watch your cheese happen. That's it.
That easy, huh?
That easy. And it's probably a family favorite I can't go to my mother-in-law's without bringing milk and cheese. But goat butter is another product that you can make. You do have to need a cream separator because goat milk is naturally homogenized. That's why it does make it easier to digest for people who are lactose intolerant. They or have a milk sensitivity. Milk bothers them. Cow's milk gives them bloating or a gas issue. Goat milk takes about 30 minutes to digest versus 8 hours for cow milk.
Wow. And I've heard that cow milk digests as a protein and not so much as a liquid like you would, some of your flavored waters or juices and whatnot. They all process in your body like a liquid, but cow's milk, that process is like you just ate a hamburger, correct? Or is that something that you know?
I'm not real sure about that. I just, know from my personal experience that, I used to have a milk cow too, that cow milk was very hard on me and for centuries, 90% of the world uses a goat versus a cow mainly because of their handy package. They eat less than of a third of what a cow does. You can send your 8-year-old out to milk your goat. You wouldn't so much send your 8-year-old out to milk a 900-pound heifer that it's her first freshening and she wants to kick your head off.
Yeah, so. That's the heifer's grandpa used to. I grew up on a dairy as well, and the heifer's grandpa used to have to prime, and then once they got used to it, I'd milk anything. I don't think I had boots that were small enough for me. I was all boots and about 6 years old milking out there. But yeah. I hear you. It's a little bit more intimidating to take on a full sized cow versus a 1.5 foot tall goat.
Yeah,
yes, definitely.
I don't think that. Go ahead, Joe. I'm going to say that I don't think most people can have a cow where they live, and I think there's a lot more properties around, at least here, that it's a whole lot easier to have a goat. What size pen do you need for a small dwarf, Nigerian dwarf, or a mini alpine, or the Oberhaslis?
Oberhaslis can get fairly large. I've recently tripped upon some really nice Oberhaslis that were about 26 inches, and I think that's a great size. They're still full size, but they're very small. They run around 120 pounds right in there. You can do a dog kennel type situation, like a dog run. And we do cover ours. We have a mountain lion out here in our area, and we do have a serious coyote issue. So we do cover the tops of our pens just to keep our ladies and their babies safe. And, but you can get by with like a dog run, something that's, 6 foot, depending on goats do better as a pair. Obviously, they're a herd animal. They do like to have a buddy, but sometimes that buddy can be a chicken or a dog too. I've had a lot of success parting, and homing a goat that is going to only the one goat family, and they've just paired up with the dog. I'm sure they was like a goat buddy, but the last one that I just sold, she's paired up with the family's hen chicken, and the hen rides around on her back.
Nice.
So they're great. They're very adaptable little animal, but they've been domesticated for thousands of years, so they do like daily contact with their humans for sure. And even if that's 5 or 10 minutes in the morning during milking, 5 or 10 minutes at night during milking, and the occasional brush and scratch for sure. But yeah, you don't need a relatively larger, basically what you would keep your dog in. And again, if you can let them out for exercise during their gestation period, which is 5 months, they do seem to kid better if they have more exercise.
Oh, so that's really
something.
We happen to have one right now that is due soon. So I will have to keep that in mind and let my wife know that she probably needs some more exercise. So
she absolutely, especially if it's their first time kidding, you want to limit the grain and feed a good quality hay, a good quality mineral, no worming during their gestation period because there's a risk of abortion. With them being a 5-month gestation, especially at first freshener, everybody should be wormed before breeding, and that's how I do it. And then they're good for that 5 months. But right after they kid, within that first week, give them a good wormer at that point, something where there's no milk withhold and it's safe for the kids. So you can do that with a pelleted wormer and mainly keep their worm load down. But again, you need that mineral. They do need a calcium and magnesium supplement. I just give them a Tums and it works. You can give them a chewable calcium or magnesium, with a Tums and a chewable vitamin C, just a human grade CVS over the counter. And I use it as a cookie. I call everybody by their names and they all get their little vitamin once a day.
Very cool. So I know that not only do you milk your goats for the milk and for the cheese, but you happen to make soap with yours.
I do.
So tell me about that process and how you would go about doing so.
Well, I make goat milk soap. Just, again, got tired of the Western process of put this chemical on your skin and you wonder why your eyes burn or you sneeze all night long. I just wanted something more natural, and I've been a soap maker for probably 30 years, and my grandma taught me how to make lye soap, and I have just enjoyed using my goat milk. I have an abundance of it. I do milk 3 does right now, morning and night, and so we have plenty, and it's a very nice recipe. You can add 2 cups of goat milk and just take out 2 cups of water and add that with any soaping lot soap recipe. But I do use coconut oil. I'll use coconut, olive, wheat germ, and then I do use lard to harden the bar and make it a long-lasting bar. And then that goat milk makes it has so much of the fat in it as well. It's a beautiful product for sensitive. My grandbaby uses it. I use it on, you can poison ivy or oak. It'll help dry that up. The neighbor loves my soap. He has eczema, which I might add between the goat milk soap and the goat milk he's ingesting. His eczema has completely cleared up the first time in his life.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
He no longer has it. And, so it's been an amazing process for him. He's spent thousands of dollars and a lot of doctor visits trying to get it to clear up. And it was just, he needed a more perfect raw food. That, your government says that you don't have that option or that right to drink it. In Arizona, it's for pet use only. And, I feel that I'm informed enough and my milk handling is safe enough that I've never had an issue. I've had my milk set out even on the counter, and I've never, raw milk will not go putrid. It'll go sour, whereas store-bought pasteurized milk will go putrid. The putrid is what makes you sick. Obviously, if you have a doe with listeriosis or listeria, yes, you can, but again, go back to your health, go back to, where was that doe purchased? What is that? I can tell you within the last several years of every shot and every time I've had a doe that's been off or not feeling well, of course, use common sense and perhaps dump that milk to your chickens or, put it on your outdoor plants, that type of thing. If there's any question at all, and there's also something called a California mastitis test. Every small goat person should probably have one of that. And, it does detect mastitis presence in the milk, and it's a simple test. You can do it at home. The kit's about $17.
Oh,
but goats are relatively inexpensive to keep, really.
So, Jill, I do have a question. You mentioned you need a couple cups, and that you have 3 dozen milk right now. What kind of milk quantities can we get out? How many goats, maybe for a family, do we need to have? And how long do they stay in milk? So what would a typical family of 2 or 5, what are we looking at for number of goats?
A number of goats, kind of always maintain the buddy system, but you can add a weather goat to that, which is a neutered male, and they don't smell. They're a great family companion. That can be your pack goat. And one doe, one mini alpine, which I have one who's 24 inches, she gives more than enough milk for my family of 2, and then the soap making on top of it, and I make a lot of cheese. She gives probably 3/4 of a gallon solid a day.
Wow.
Yeah. So one little goat, she weighs 99 pounds. She's a mini Alpine. She's got a butter soft udder and really sweet tasting milk. Mini Alpines are bred down with Nigerians. The Nigerian goat seems to add a lot of butter fat content to that milk. But she has each doe is going to have different milk. And I do want to stress, when you do go to buy that dairy goat and you're at the ranch, you're looking at someone's goat, ask them, say, well, I want to milk her, and I want you to show me how she milks, and I want to taste your milk. And every doe's milk is different. I have my Toggenburg. People will tell you that Toggenburg milk is nutty or goaty. And the most important thing is be cognizant of your feed you're feeding, where your worming schedule is, and your minerals. If a goat's milk is off, she may need some minerals. But one little goat for a family of 2 or 3 is fine. If you want to make cheese or you want some to sell, to the neighbor for pet quality milk, of course, you could add that second goat and have 2 does in. Now you're looking at a milking schedule of about 10 months. Your little girls are going to be in milk for 10 months.
So is that typical just of the mini Alpine? Or I know we have Cookie and Bella, which actually came from your farm. Bella's pregnant right now. And then we have Fairy, who is a La Mancha Nubian mix, a little bit bigger goat. Where was I going with that?
They're in milk.
Yeah. Would the La Mancha Nubian mix milk for a longer period of time than 10 months because it's a larger goat? Or are they about the same?
You know what? They're about the same. And the reason for that's an excellent question. The reason for that is you do want to give your doe 2 months off for her to relax, regenerate, because during that time, you're going to have bred her. She's going to actually be 3 months into her next gestation, and you're going to want to dry her off for that 2 months period, of course, to give yourself a break and have a little bit of a life. And unless you've got a goat milker in your neighborhood, it's pretty intense about milking, but we will get to that in a second too, about ways to work around that. The 10-month schedule with the 2 months off is also when your doe is getting ready, for her kidding time to come around, you want the colostrum to build back up. You want that udder to rest. And you also don't want to take any nutrients out of her body that last final 2 months while that kid is growing.
Okay.
And this is the time, maybe in that last week, to start adding a little bit of grain. And you want to make sure that there's no plug in each udder, so in case she does kid and you're not home, the babies don't have to struggle so much to get that colostrum. There's a little plug in each teat, and you'll see that. Just make sure that, strip that out a second, just one quick squirt, and make sure that those teats are clear in case she does kid when you're not there. But yeah, that was an excellent question, and gestation is 5 months long. So they're just like and they're also called a buck and a doe and not a nanny and a billy. So,
good to know. So, all right. So tell me more. You said you had something else you were going to talk about with that milking schedule. So you mean I don't have to go out there and milk twice a day when my wife isn't home? Is there a way around that?
There kind of is a way around that.
Oh.
And it's by keeping your kids, until, for quite a while, if you pulled your kids off, and yes, you'd have to milk twice a day if you wanted that much milk. You can also just back your doe off to once a day milking. And she'll milk once a day, and, like my little girl gives almost a half a gallon in the mornings. That's her strong milking time. You want to milk at 12-hour intervals as close as possible. So if you milk at 6 in the morning, you want to milk around 6 at night. Can you go 13 hours, 14 hours? Yes, you can. Is your doe going to be happy with you? Not really. But, there's yes, I mean, there's only so much room in that little udder. But I try to milk up on a 12-hour interval, just pretty close. But how I do it is, right now I milk my does in the morning if I need milk. Pretty much the kids are separated at night. They go into their kid pen, and the does go into their doe pen. So in the morning, I let my herd queen out first. They know their schedule. I always milk on schedule. I let my herd queen, she gets milked first, and that's Bree. She comes by name to the gate, but Twinkie's always right behind her because she thinks she should be the herd queen, but she's bigger than Bree, so I always defer to Bree. She gets out, and then she's getting milk constantly at night because she self-weaned her children. She had triplets this year, and she's only 24 inches. So wow. She had trips yes, she's a baby hauler, as a buddy of mine says. And, so she self-weaned her kids. She just won't even let her kids nurse. So I'm down to twice a day milking schedule with her for sure. Twinkie, I just sold her buckling, so she still has her doeling on, and her doeling can only drink one side. So I still have her to milk every morning and every night. If I need more milk, then I put her baby in the kid pen at night, and then Twinkie's full on both sides. So that's how that kind of works for me. I've got a mini Alpine, Katie, and Katie has two beautiful doelings this year, and they were very small, a little bit smaller than last year's, which was kind of a surprise. And I wanted them to get a little size, so I only milk Katie every other morning and let her babies have the majority of her milk.
So you don't bottle feed the kids either then?
You know, I do not bottle feed, and I'll tell you why. Again, that's an excellent question about bottle feeding. Mom knows best.
Yeah.
And I found that bottle-fed kids are a little more rude. I sometimes think my husband's a goat whisperer, and I'm really in tune with my does, but there's a lot of things there that those older does can teach those kids, and the kids, they do have to learn their manners, and it's a herd structure, and the most important lessons are from goat to goat and not human to goat. So I do respect that. Bottle-fed kids are kind of annoying, and you know, they can be a little bit pushy. There's been, you know, my Twinkie was a bottle baby. I love her dearly, but she has to spend a lot of time and time out tied to a fence. You know, while I'm milking, I'll actually chain her to the fence just to teach her a little bit of patience. You know, I do have a milk stand. That's something most important, I think, too, that, you know, have a proper place to milk your girls. Give them some feed while you're milking. Udder maintenance basically is, you know, make sure that udder is washed off and dry, and your hands are washed and dried before you begin your milking. The most important thing with your milking is that first two squirts, or strip those first two squirts out onto the ground, or you can put it in a strip cup, which is a stainless steel cup of any type, and just kind of look for, you know, any blood. You can tell if that udder's hot, or if it was hard to milk those first pumps out, you know, or if there's any knots in the udder, or lumps, or any warm or tender spots, and those girls will tell you.
So I actually will let you know too, on the website on WeGrowOurs.com, when the show goes up on Friday, if you look back to, I believe, Tuesday's posting, there is a link to a good article on there that has pictures and tells you how to milk a goat and kind of strip that first out. So we'll have some pictures on the website for kind of reference what Jill is talking about here. So.
No, that's perfect. Yeah. And always remember that that's where your bacteria lies, because that's the open orifice. And if you do have bacteria in the udder, it's going to come from there. So get rid of that milk. And you know, there's plenty more after that. And that's the most important for milk safety and human consumption, or your animal consumption as well. You know, I see excess milk. We were talking about quantities out of 3 does. You know, I know last year I was milking 5, and I was getting 18 gallons of milk a week.
Yeah, that's a lot of milk, Jill.
It's a lot of milk.
Now, I know we take some of our extras and we give it out to the chickens and some other of the livestock that we have too. So and the dogs. I mean, it's good to go around. It's not just for people. I mean, other than soap, I know you made some awesome ice cream for me at one point out of it, so you can even do that. So.
Oh, absolutely. Any milk product that you have, it's endless. You know, kefir is a wonderful fermented drink. You know, and I believe even biblically the land of milk and honey, they think that it was possibly being referred to as kefir. And, your kefir grains can go in your raw milk. You set your kefir grains in a quart of milk, put it in your cabinet that is covered, just with a paper towel and a screw lid on your quart jar works fine. And in about 24 hours, you have a fermented raw milk product that is full of probiotics. It's millions more beneficial bacteria or beneficial, probiotics than yogurt.
Yeah.
And, it's a great product for people who have Candidas albicans or, people who are just trying to add a lot of probiotics for their own gut flora. You can make sour cream, fromage, cream cheese, hard cheese, hard cheddar, mozzarella, Parmesan.
All right, you're making me hungry.
I'm gonna have to stop off at the store and get plugged up.
We'll have to get together sometime and make some cheese for you guys. I did a cheese class at the Prepper Expo on Sunday of the expo, and it turned out really, really well. And cheese is remarkable. You do need a cheese press for your hard cheeses, and a place to age them here in Arizona. Even an old wine refrigerator or one of those little apartment refrigerators works perfectly.
So are you, speaking of Prepper Fest, are you going up to the one coming up in March, I believe it is?
Not in March. That would be the end of May, May. 1st of June.
I knew that.
March is a long ways away.
The one in Prescott Valley?
Yeah.
Yes, we are. Actually, we will not be having our goats there, but we are going to represent Backwood Home Magazine. We're a representative for them now here in Arizona, and I believe Texas and Utah maybe, and maybe even Colorado.
Cool.
So it's really exciting for our little ranch to work with Dave Duffy. I'm a big fan of his and love their magazine. I think it follows very much in line with, a self-sustainable mentality that we have and you guys enjoy. And we definitely enjoy this relationship that's budding with those guys.
So, Jill, tell me how our listeners can get a hold of you if they have any interest in learning about goats or purchasing goats, anything like that. What's your contact information?
You bet. It's desertdreamsmassage@gmail.com, and we're Desert Dreams Dairy Goats. But I do just use the email for my massage. I'm an out-call massage therapist. So I have tired hands. And my phone number is 480-710-2296. And call me anytime. And I would like to put out there that, yes, I have goats for sale, but I'm always willing to help goat owners and new caprine family members to get in touch with me. I definitely love goats and try to answer all the questions anybody would have and kind of help people along with this, and everybody kind of needs a mentor. There's nothing worse than trying to get into this lifestyle and not having an animal, survive or ending up with mastitis or ending up with, kidding problems because you don't have anybody to bounce a few questions off of.
Absolutely. And Jill, you've done that for us. I'll tell you, we started with goats because of you and because of the support that you offered. And I think we're up to like 6 of them now, with probably 2 on the way as my guess. So, I want to personally thank you for all the help you've offered to myself and my wife especially.
Oh, absolutely. And I kind of try to tell people, whether you buy a goat for me or you don't, the reason I do enjoy meeting people and having folks like you guys with kids that are just want a healthy lifestyle, healthy milk alternative, it's about building relationships with like-minded people. So yeah, I'm so tickled to have met you guys as well.
Well, Jill, thank you so much.
Yeah, Jill, thanks for coming on the show, and we look forward to seeing you up there at the Survivalist Expo in Prescott.
Yeah, we'll get the link to the Backwoods magazine as well as your phone number and your email address posted at the website at wegrowours.com.
Oh, thank you guys so much. Thanks, Nick. It's always good talking to you guys, and take care.
Well, thank you, Jill, for joining us this week. A lot of useful information there. I live in an HOA. I really want to have a goat. I don't think I can make it happen, But if I can find somebody out there that's got a quiet enough breed, I bet you I could do it.
You know, speaking of the quiet, Jill had mentioned something about an Oberhasli being quiet. And it's kind of interesting. I was talking to another person about goats the other day. They said, depending on where you live and where the goat is raised has a lot to do with how quiet it is. And I don't know if this is true or not, and I didn't get to ask Jill. But if it's raised in mountain lion country, it seems like the goats seem a lot quieter because the adult goats stop them when they're babies. And if you let them not bottle feed, but naturally feed, she was talking about the manners, the mama goats will basically butt them around if they're loud at night because they don't want to attract the mountain lions and the other things.
Interesting.
So if you're in a predator-rich area, it seems like at night your goats are a lot quieter than if you're...
I wonder if you can fake them out with like a mountain lion scent or something.
I don't know. I know, we brought in an Oberhasli, a baby, actually two. So one was raised in a very safe setting and bottle fed. The other one was natural fed and a buck and a doe. The doe was natural fed and raised in a mountain lion country. The buck was bottle fed and raised in an open air, safe place. Anyway, the buck was loud as could be when we first brought him over, to the point I had a neighbor a block away. Now for me, you know where I live, Nick, a block away.
That's a distance.
I mean,
that's at
we're
least
talking
half a mile.
Yeah, we're talking away. Come over and say, what the heck did you just do? Because I thought it was a screaming baby or something, and it went all night long, and we penned him in the garage for the first night.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, loud. Now the other one was quiet as could be.
Shock collar.
And yeah, I mean, it was just like, yeah, I don't know if you can do that to a goat. So ours are fairly quiet now, but I think when we house them all together like we do, and we're kind of out in the desert, and we had, a bobcat around for a while and some other things, they quieted down. So I don't know if there's any truth to that, but it's kind of cool. It's interesting.
Yeah, we'll have to look into that further. Speaking of your house, we had kind of a fun weekend.
Yes, we did. We had fire and gas and aquaponics and rabbits and a lot of poop.
Lots and lots of poop. So, I'm a bit of a poop guy. What can I say?
I learned something new about poop.
Okay.
I did not know what burning rabbit poop smelled like. And you know what? If I never smell it again, I'm okay with that. But I found out what it smells like, and I found out that it's very tarry.
Oh, yeah.
And it gets in your nose.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah.
The next time we play around with this stuff.
Yes.
I will be wearing some sort of a mask filter of some sort just because I've been bleeding out of my nose from this for the last 2 days.
Yeah.
Let me explain. What we did were 2 experiments, actually 3 experiments. The first is pretty straightforward, anaerobic digestion for methane production. We set up a small digester.
It's a cool setup, Nick.
It is.
So we had, let's go back even a little further. We had a film crew.
Yep.
For a certain TV show come in. This TV show is about Nick and Hostile Hare and his rabbits.
Yes.
So everything was centered around that. There were some little issues and they needed a place to film. So we moved some of that to my house.
Not to put the blame on anybody, but let's just say when mama ain't happy, ain't nobody happy.
Oh, well, yeah.
Since she doesn't listen to the show, I can go ahead and put the blame on her.
Oh, she doesn't get the blame on this one. She was a freaking trooper this weekend.
Yeah, she was. She was good. I married a winner.
Yeah, you did.
So if this is the only episode you listen to, I love you, honey.
Well, she's going to know she's in this one, so now she's going to listen. So.
Okay.
Yeah, see, I covered my butt really well on that.
Yeah, you did.
So it ended up moving to my house. You brought, and we did the methane rabbit poop what do you call that?
It's an anaerobic digester.
Okay.
Basically, when you have organic material that's breaking down in an aquatic state, you starve it of oxygen. It will pull its oxygen from the water, releasing hydrocarbons.
Okay.
Which the most common is methane in that setup.
So rabbit poop in water, a couple of buckets. You created methane.
That's right.
And the setup was cool though, because you took that methane and pumped it out into
a propane bottle.
A propane bottle.
Now, it's not as high a compression as a propane bottle you would buy.
Right.
But you're able to use it more as a tank. The reason I chose a propane bottle is it's already starved of oxygen. So if you compress propane into an air tank and there's oxygen in there, you've essentially made a pipe bomb waiting to go off. So I used a used propane bottle that was semi-emptied and hooked it up to a compressor and pulled the methane off of the anaerobic digester, compressed it, and then used it as a pilot fuel for my rabbit poop flamethrower.
Yep.
And
that was a heck of a flamethrower.
And that was the next experiment we did, with a series of PVC pipes and a shop vac turned in reverse. I used ground up rabbit poop in the hopper, fired up the shop vac, dumped the rabbit poop through the tube and through the pilot flame and caused a 30-foot flame ball to almost burn down Dawn's house. No, just kidding. We did that away from the house.
Yeah, that was away from the house. But now, I mean, as cool as that is, one of the other things that I think is even cooler is people say, well, if you don't have electricity, how in the heck can you power a shop vac?
Exactly.
So how did you power? Well, go to the next one.
Okay. The next one and my final trick that we did that weekend that actually made us smell like, poopy, burning on fire, yucky, was gasification.
That's right.
Gasification is not supposed to smell bad, but we were experimenting with rabbit manure in the gasifier. And so not everything was going as smooth as planned.
Right.
We did get a viable fuel source out of it, but basically what we did was light a little bit of it on fire. The heat from that small combustion caused pyrolysis, or a thermal breakdown of the surrounding matter, and that released the hydrocarbons from the manure that were then ducted out of the gasifier and into the internal combustion engine, hooked up to a generator.
Right.
Now, not everything played out as smooth as that last description.
Yeah, I mean, this is homemade stuff for one. Yeah. This isn't something that we've gone out and purchased. This is something that Nick built.
And it was about a day and a half of me just putting stuff together, hoping that it would work right.
Right. So you guys are going to have to watch the show.
Yes.
We'll tell you when that's going to come on.
Yes.
In the meantime, on the website on WeGrowOurs.com, I put a little post of Nick with the gasifier. Mm-hmm. You can't see anything with the exception that it's the nighttime.
Yes,
with the exception of the gas being lit on fire.
Exactly. What I was doing was making carbon out of the rabbit poop.
Right.
Carbon, if you put it into, basically I'll explain the video. It was a paint can with a hole punched in the lid, and the paint can was filled full of rabbit manure. I hit it with a torch on the outside, heating it up to well over 800 degrees, and at which point the hydrocarbons were released from the poop, and all that you were left with is a little Cocoa Puff looking black char, activated carbon really is what it is.
Right.
But that's essential for priming a gasifier. And we'll probably do another show. I'll do another video, to show the gasifier in action.
Yeah, we're going to try and get some videos up because I know that stuff is still over there at my house.
Yeah.
So I'm going to make Nick come over. We're going to videotape some of this stuff. We're going to get that gasifier going again.
Mm-hmm.
and show you guys this stuff because it's really cool.
That's right. Maybe we can hook up the compressor to it and actually compress the gases.
Yeah, and not only that, Nick, but we talk a lot on the show about gasification, about aquaponics, about raising goats and chickens and quail and rabbits and all of this fun stuff. We're doing it.
That's right.
And, I figured, hey, we're
living the dream, baby, living the dream.
We're going to talk about this stuff. Let's do it. It is not always easy, as we found out with the gasifier.
Yep, and that's our job is to go and do this and experiment with it and figure it out. And then talk to you guys and get you to do the same thing.
Yeah.
So if you are an expert in gasification and you are listening, please contact us. Go to the WeGrowOurs.com page, put in the Ask Us is the tab.
Yep, Ask Us. Yep.
And say, hey, you're doing it wrong. And call us up. We'll get a show together. You could even be our guest. I don't claim to be an expert in gasification. I am very excited to mess with it. But I don't know all of the workings. I know the process. I know what it's supposed to be. I don't always get it nailed right on the head.
Well, I had a blast. I was really proud to be a part of helping Nick out. And I think this show is going to be a freaking wonderful success.
That's right.
I got to see you behind the camera and it was just fun.
Yeah.
If you haven't known Nick very much, he's, just like he is on this show is what he's like in real life.
Yeah. I don't change it up much for anybody, and it gets me into trouble, and it also opens doors for me. So I ain't going to change.
Yeah. So, we had a blast. Check out the We Grow Ours at, Twitter, at We Grow Ours, Facebook.com/We Grow Ours. We still need you guys to go like this more. PrepperBroadcasting.com on Mondays. They might change that time a little bit and that lineup a little bit. I think we're going to remain Mondays at, I believe it's 8 p.m. Central Time. Again, big shout out to Glenn over there. And guys, go check out the other shows.
Yes.
There's a ton out there. If you guys are listening to this show, you may find some other stuff on there just as interesting.
I'm hoping to get even more interesting.
Yeah, well,
if that's possible.
I don't think it is.
No, we're the bee's knees, baby.
Yeah, I want to get some of those other people doing the shows though over on our show for some guests, because these guys are awesome. They do one heck of a podcast. Some of them do it live. Episode 10, Nick, we did live on PrepperBroadcasting.com. I had a blast. I still haven't gotten it loaded, but I did get the download, so I'll get that posted.
Okay.
So if you want to hear a live show, guys, go to our show notes and blog. Episode 10 will be on there very soon. Take a look at that. So follow us, find us, listen to us, and hey, I had a blast again. Thank you for having me to be part of that.
Hey, thanks for letting me use your house.
Oh, hey. Somebody says to me, Don, can I bring over a flamethrower and, and do all this stuff? And we practice with a hop system and automating that. I mean, I had a freaking blast. That is what I'm doing this for. And you throw a flamethrower on top of it and shoot 30-foot flames. How can I say
on
no?
The cake. Icing on the cake.
My wife, yeah.
Yeah, I think we both spent a little bit of time in the doghouse this weekend, but that's why we build good-sized doghouses.
Yeah, we'll talk more about this and let you guys know when the show's coming up. So thank you for joining us again, and we look forward to another great show in a week.
That's right. We'll see you guys next week. Well, you'll hear us. Well, we won't see you.
Goodbye. Bye.